Okay, we're in First Kings. Got to start recording it over. This is the third time. Okay. So First Kings. Now David's getting old and stricken in years. He couldn't keep no heat. So they get a virgin, a damsel. Her name is Abishag, the Shunammite, and brought her to the king, and she was fair. And she ministered to him, but the king knew her not. So now he's getting older and fixing to die, and Adonijah, his son, exalts himself, saying, I'll be king. So he prepares his horsemen and chariots and 50 men to run before him. So people was following him, thinking he's going to be king. But Zadok the priest and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, and Rei, the mighty men which belonged to David. So long story short, David makes Solomon king and anoints him and gives him a final charge, basically, telling him of his mighty men who's being a thorn in his side, basically, So basically Solomon kicks out Abiathar the priest to fulfill the word of concerning the house of Eli, of not having known his people being priests from his generations. And Joab gets murdered or gets killed. And basically he just cuts off anything that would be a negative karma to his kingdom from David's kingdom. And Shimei, he told him to build a house and he couldn't leave it. But if he does, his blood will be on his head and he'll die. And he leaves, so he ends up dead. And then Solomon marries Pharaoh's daughter. He has a league with Pharaoh. So God come to him in a dream and asked him what he would like, what he wants. And he, out of all the things, he asked for wisdom and knowledge. So God was entreated and he gave him riches, wealth, fame, and honor as well. So if you think about that, he asked for a simple thing, wisdom. And he was the wisest man alive. And we are praying for this and praying for that. God, give us this, give us that, give us this, give us that. We could just pray for the most simple thing to glorify the Lord, and He'll provide everything else that we need. He'll provide for us. He'll make a way for everything for us. So Solomon has a display of his wisdom. There's two harlots that had a child apiece, and in the middle of the night one died. So supposedly the one that died, switched her dead child with the woman that had a living child. They woke up and the woman saw her child was dead, and the other one had the living child, and they go to Solomon. He's basically told him, I'll cut the child in half and give each of you one. And then one woman started crying and said, no, just give her the child. So he had assumed that she was the mother, and he gave her the child. So now people saw the wisdom of God was in Solomon to do judgment. And then it goes on to his administration of who all's under him. He had governors of the lands and all that stuff. And his fame was heard throughout all the world. And people come to hear him and hear what he had to say. I mean, he had 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. He had a lot of words and wisdom. So the next 3 chapters is about the construction of the temple of the Lord. And you can Google displays of it, or I've got copied pictures on my Facebook page. A look at the Bible through the eyes of a sinner. He constructs it. A lot of it's layered with gold, and he finishes it. And he dedicates it, and the priests walk out, and then the cloud of the Lord filled the room. And the priest could not stand to minister because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord had filled the house of the Lord. And then basically Solomon does his speech about it and telling them, walk before the Lord, don't turn from Him, and He'll take care of you. And you think about that, the glory of the Lord filled it where they couldn't even stand in there. I mean, that's powerful. And I believe God's Spirit's still that strong today if we allow it to be. Just us. So God comes to him again in the dream and basically tells him, walk before me, and I'll establish your throne forever. But if you turn from following me, your children won't keep my commandments, and, I'll cut off Israel out of the land. So then, he's got slaves. Basically, the people of the land that was utterly destroyed, he set them for bondsmen, so they were slaves. He had a navy, and the Queen of Sheba visited him to hear of his fame and his wisdom, and she saw it, and they did their little thing, commune or whatever, and then she left, went away. He was rich. He had imports, fleets going through the ocean, doing trading and stuff. But he had a downfall. Just think now, he was the wisest man in the world, but yet the biggest fool. He loved many strange women with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, don't go to them, neither shall they come in unto you, for they will turn away your hearts after their God. And Solomon clave unto these in love. He had 700 wives, princesses, 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So he's old, and he started following other gods. He built high places for the gods. He built all of his wives' houses. God was angry with him. And he's going to rend his kingdom away from his son. And he had adversaries raise up against him. Now Jeroboam was a man out of Ephraim, I believe. And Ahijah the prophet saw him, and he caught him by the garment that was on him, and he rent it into 12 pieces. And he told him, take 10 pieces, for God's going to rend the kingdom out of Solomon's hand. So Solomon heard of it, and he's going to kill Jeroboam. So he fled to Egypt and stayed there until Solomon died. So Solomon died, and Rehoboam, his son, reigned in his stead. So Rehoboam was king, and then the people of the kingdoms all around, all the tribes came, and they told him, loosen our yoke, it's too grievous. So he got counseled the old men and the young men, and for some reason, God made him talk roughly to him to fulfill his prophecy of Ahijah. So the kingdom is split. Jeroboam is the king of Israel, and Rehoboam is the king of Judah. So the 10 tribes is Israel, and Judah and Benjamin are the tribe of Judah. So Jeroboam then built 2 golden calves and said, these are the gods that saved our people from Egypt. And so he made a place there for them to worship, and got lowest men to be priests, not even of the Levites. He got them to do that so the people wouldn't go down to Jerusalem to the temple of God to worship the Lord, because that way the heart wouldn't be softened to follow the tribe of Judah, the kingdom of Judah rather. So he built that, and they started committing idolatry in Israel. So there came a man of God out of Judah, and the Lord told him to cry out against the altar. So he went and cried out against the altar, and he told him that the altar would be rent and ashes will be poured out. So the king heard of it, Jeroboam, and he went to grab him, and his hand froze like he was paralyzed. And the altar also fell and was broken, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to what God told him. So the king told him, entreat the Lord thy God and pray for me, my hand be restored to me again. So his hand was restored, and the king told him, come home with me and refresh thyself, and I'll give you a reward. And the man of God told the king, I can't go. If you give me half your house, then I'll go. And then he told him, and God told him that he can't eat or drink nothing there in that place, and not go back the way that he came. So he left, went a different way, and there's an old prophet in Bethel that heard about it, and the man told his sons to get him over there so they could eat, see him and stuff, and he lodged with them. So the sons went, and they lied to him, and basically said, the Lord angel told us to get you, to come eat with us. And so he listened to him, and he went and ate. And then all of a sudden they prophesied again, and they told him, the Lord told you not to eat here or drink no water, and your carcass shall not come to the sepulchre of thy fathers. So he went and left, and a lion met him by the way and slew him and killed him. And the men passed by and saw the carcass of him, and the prophet brought him back and buried him. And he told his sons he wanted to be buried right beside that man. So now, Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, fell sick. So he got his wife to disguise herself and go see Ahijah, the prophet, which told him he'd be king. And she did, and he basically told her he knew who she was. And told her, tell him that he's done evil above all that were before thee, gone to make other gods and molten images, and provoke me to anger. So he's going to cut off Jeroboam, him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut away in remnant of the house of Jeroboam, as a man taketh away dung till it be gone. So she goes back, and basically her child dies right when they get back into the city of Israel. And the Israel mourned for him. And then basically Jeroboam died, and Nadab, his son, reigned in his stead. So Nadab is the king of Israel now. So now Judah's doing evil in the sight of the Lord, and they built images and groves and high places. Egypt attacks Jerusalem and takes all the treasures out of the house of the Lord, which I'm not sure if they took the Ark of the Covenant or not, but they took everything, it says. And took away the king's house too, robbed him of all his stuff, and took the shields of gold which Solomon made. And then basically there's war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all their days, and Rehoboam died. And Abijam reigned in his stead. So Abijam is the king of Judah, and Nadab is the king of Israel. So he walked. Let's see. Okay. Abijam over Judah. He reigned in Jerusalem. He walked in the sins of his fathers, which done before him, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord God. His God is the heart of David, his father. He did. Okay, and Abijam died, and Asa his son ruled in his stead. Okay, now Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. He took away the Sodomites out of the land, removed all the idols that his fathers made. He also removed his mother because she was an idolatress, and destroyed her idol and burned it by the brook of Kidron. But the high places were not removed. Nevertheless, his heart was perfect with the Lord all of his days. Now, it says he removed the Sodomites out of the land. So keep that, it's a key. But it said he left the high places. So, this is an example, as if you're going to clean yourself up, your own life up, don't leave the things in the high places in your life. If you're going to clean yourself up and turn to the Lord holy, take everything that doesn't need to be in your life out. If you take just a portion of it out that shouldn't be in there, you may as well not change your life at all for the Lord. So now Baasha had a war with Asa, and basically they had a war with each other, and Asa died eventually, and Jehoshaphat reigned in his stead. Now how Baasha came apart, because Baasha was the king of Israel, is he went, and basically they killed the king of Israel, rose up against him and killed him. They killed Nadab, and Baasha's the king. Then basically Zimri went and killed him, killed Baasha, and then Zimri was the king of Israel. So Asa's the king. No, Jehoshaphat's the king of Judah, and Zimri's the king of Israel. So there's this war fighting on the inside. So then Omri killed Zimri now, and then Omri is the king of Israel now. Unless he's Zimri's son. Okay, yeah. Because that's another civil war within the kingdom of Israel. So Omri's the king, and then he died. And then Ahab's the king of Israel. Now Ahab was a wicked man. He did evil inside the Lord, as his fathers did. He reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. He made a grove and provoked the Lord to anger. So Ahab was a bad king. And let's say Jehoshaphat's the king of Judah, and he's doing good, but they didn't remove the high places of the idolatry and paganism and all that, and they didn't remove, but they did kick out the Sodomites. So now Elijah's coming up. He's a prophet. He's one of the greatest prophets there was before Christ was born. Him and Moses. So basically he told him there's going to be a drought in the land. But God took care of him. He sent him places where he would be fed and have water. And he stayed with a woman, a widow. And they never ran out of food. You know, she had very little, but God made it last. Her son got sick and he died. He had no breath in him, and God allowed Elijah to bring him back to life. So she believed the Lord was with him. So there came a day when Ahab's wife, Jezebel, threw all the prophets out the land, trying to have them killed. And Adabai, which was governor in his house, feared the Lord greatly. So when Jezebel cut off the prophets, that Adabai took 100 prophets and hid them in caves. So basically, Elijah comes to him and tells him, you know, why do we have to stay between these opinions? If God's be real, follow him. If Baal's real, then follow him. So he told the people and the priests of Baal to build an altar, and he'd build one, and they'd make an offering, a burnt offering. And whoever is consumed by fire, then their God is real. So he told them to call on the name of their gods, and he'll call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answers by fire, let him be God. And he's like, well, okay, we'll do that. So they did it, and they made the thing, or made the burnt offering, and they was praying and crying to a Baal. They was climbing on the altar, leaping and cutting themselves where they bled, and blood gushed out. And Elijah was sitting there mocking them. Cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he's talking, or he's pursuing, or he's in a journey, or he's asleep and must be awake. So he mocked them. And then it came to pass, he told the people come near him. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And he took 12 stones, according to the tribes of the sons of Jacob. And then, basically, he called on the Lord, and the Lord came down and reared up the fire.